You grew up, you were in college. Even if you had a career, you had to get married and you had to have a child.
What would you do if people constantly questioned your relationship? What if strangers had opinions about who you married? Well, that's exactly what comedy legend Carol Burnett has dealt with for over 2 decades. And today, we're finally talking about the truth behind all those rumors about her husband. Trust me, this story is going to surprise you. Now, before we talk about her current husband and all these rumors, we need to understand Carol's journey through love and marriage. Because Carol has been married 3 times, and each relationship taught her something different. Her first marriage was to her college sweetheart, Don Soroyan. They both had big dreams of making it in entertainment and moved to New York together after graduating from UCLA. They tied the knot on December 15, 1955, full of hope and ambition. Both of them started getting acting jobs, but sadly, as their careers grew, their relationship started falling apart. They divorced in 1962. Just a year later, in 1963, Carol married television producer Joe Hamilton. Now, Joe was a big deal. He had directed her TV special and would go on to produce The Carol Burnett Show.
And Joe was a great producer, and we were together 19 years, but then events took us apart, and he died a few years later of cancer.
When they married, Joe was already a divorced father of 8 children, but his kids welcomed Carol with open arms. Together, Carol and Joe had 3 daughters, Carrie, Jody, and Erin. But life wasn't always easy for the Hamilton family. Their oldest daughter, Carrie, struggled with drug and alcohol addiction starting when she was just 13 years old. Carol later admitted that dealing with Carrie's addiction put a huge strain on her marriage to Joe. They tried therapy, they tried everything, but ultimately they divorced in 1984 after 21 years of marriage. Joe passed away in 1991 from cancer. After her divorce from Joe, Carol remained single for almost 14 years. Can you imagine? After 2 marriages and all that heartbreak, she took time for herself, focusing on her career and her daughters. And then, when she least expected it, love found her again. In 1993, something special happened. Carol signed on to perform in a musical in Long Beach, California. It was supposed to be just another job, another 6 weeks of work. But there, she met a man named Brian Miller. He was the drummer for the production and was also responsible for hiring the other musicians. They clicked, but the timing wasn't quite right. A few years later, they crossed paths again, and this time the connection was undeniable. Despite their age difference, which is where all these rumors started, they felt something real. Brian is 23 years younger than Carol. Yes, you heard that right. When they started dating, Carol was in her mid-60s and Brian was in his early 40s. They dated for about 3 years, keeping their relationship relatively private. And in November 2001, they quietly got married in a private ceremony. Carol was 68 and Brian was 45. To the outside world, this seemed shocking. A Hollywood legend marrying a man so much younger? The gossip magazines went crazy. People had opinions. Lots of opinions. But here's what matters. Carol and Brian didn't care what anyone thought. They knew what they had was real. So let's talk about these rumors, because that's what you're really here for, right? For over 20 years now, people have questioned Carol and Brian's marriage. The main rumor, that their age difference means the relationship can't possibly be genuine. People have speculated that Brian must be with Carol for her money or her fame. Some have cruelly suggested he's just waiting around for an inheritance. Others have questioned whether they could possibly have anything in common. These rumors have followed them to every red carpet event, every public appearance, and every interview. And honestly, it's heartbreaking that a beautiful relationship has been reduced to gossip and speculation. But Carol has never been one to stay silent about the important things. Over the years, she's addressed these rumors head on, and what she said is absolutely beautiful. In an interview with People magazine, Carol got real about the age gap. She said something that really puts things into perspective. As we get older, the gap between our ages narrows. If you were 40 and married a 20-year-old, I don't think you could communicate like we do. Think about that for a moment. She's absolutely right. When you're 70 and 47, you're both adults with life experience, wisdom, and maturity. It's completely different from someone in their 20s dating someone much older. Carol went even further when Barbara Walters asked her in 2002 if she worried about what people would say about their age difference. Carol's response? She made it clear she didn't care at all. She said Brian is funny, not easily intimidated, and that they communicate beautifully. Isn't that what really matters in a relationship? And you want to know what really proves their love is real? It's not what Carol says about Brian, it's what Brian has done for Carol. Just 2 months after Carol and Brian got married, something absolutely devastating happened. In January 2002, Carol's oldest daughter, Carrie, passed away at just 38 years old from pneumonia related to lung and brain cancer. But Brian didn't walk away. He stood by Carol's side through the darkest period of her life. Now here's something that will give you chills. Before Carrie passed away, she and Carol had written a play together called Hollywood Arms. It was based on Carol's memoir and was deeply personal. The play was scheduled to open on Broadway just weeks after Carrie's death. Carol was devastated. She didn't want to get out of bed. She couldn't imagine going through with the opening. But Brian sat with her, and he told her something that changed everything. He said, "Carol, you owe this not only to Carrie, but you owe it to Hal Prince, who was directing the show to finish." Carol later shared that on the plane to Chicago for the show, she said a little prayer to Carrie. She asked for a sign that her daughter would be with her, even though she wasn't there physically, and she went through with it. She honored her daughter's memory by seeing their project through to the end, and Brian was right there with her every step of the way. That's not the action of someone who's in a relationship for money or fame. That's the action of a true partner, a real husband who loves his wife unconditionally. So what's life really like for Carol and Brian after more than 20 years of marriage? By all accounts, it's pretty wonderful. They live in Santa Barbara, California, in what Carol describes as her sanctuary. It's peaceful, surrounded by beautiful scenery, and it's where they can just be themselves, away from Hollywood's constant glare. Carol has shared sweet details about their daily life together. They love rewatching classic movies. Carol mentioned that Singin' in the Rain is one of her favorites, and she knows it by heart. She said she can watch it again and again and again, and Brian joins her every time. They watch the news together and have their favorite broadcasters. They attend events together, always looking happy and comfortable with each other. One observer who saw them at a restaurant in Montecito on Mother's Day in 2022 said, whenever Brian spoke, Carol was laser focused on him. They sat there singing and humming little show tunes together and laughing while they waited for their meal. It was very cute. Does that sound like a fake relationship to you? Does that sound like someone who's just in it for the money? Absolutely not. Now, here's something else that proves the strength of their bond. In August 2020, Carol and Brian were granted temporary guardianship of Carol's grandson, Dylan. Dylan is the son of Carol's daughter, Erin, who has struggled with addiction issues. Court documents reveal that although Brian is not Dylan's biological grandfather, he has known Dylan his entire life and loves him like his own grandson. Think about that commitment. Brian stepped up to help raise a child who isn't biologically related to him, all to support Carol and protect her grandson.
So she is seeking guardianship of her 14-year-old grandson. The 87-year-old comedian is asking the court that she and her husband become temporary guardians of their grandson, Dylan.
That's not obligation. That's love. That's family. And it's further proof that Brian is in this marriage for all the right reasons. He didn't just marry Carol, he embraced her entire family, including all the challenges that came with it. And you know what's really beautiful? Throughout all of this, Carol has continued to thrive professionally. At 91 years old, she's still working and still making history.
I'm going to be 91.
91, yes.
In 2024, she appeared in the Apple TV Plus series, Palm Royale, playing the wealthy heiress, Norma Delacorte. Her performance earned her an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series, making her the oldest woman to be nominated for an acting Emmy in a comedy. Can you believe that? At 91, she's still breaking barriers. And through all of this continued success, Brian has been right there, supporting her, celebrating with her, and being her biggest cheerleader. In 2023, NBC celebrated Carol's 90th birthday with a special called Carol Burnett, 90 Years of Laughter and Love. Brian was credited as an executive producer on the project. They worked together to create this tribute to Carol's incredible career. Then in January 2024, both Carol and Brian attended the Creative Arts Emmy Awards together. And guess what? They both went home with awards for Outstanding Variety Special for their work as executive producers on that 90th birthday special. How sweet is that? After all these years, they're still creating together, celebrating together, and winning together. That's a true partnership. So what do you think? Are you inspired by Carol and Brian's love story? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our celebrity stories.